Hello all. Good morning. Today I would like to do a little project here, uh, uh, something called Direnv. So you'll see now that I'm in this grokking DL virtual environment. And if I go up a directory here, you'll see I'm now in the base virtual environment for conda. And you'll see here this message that says Direnv, unloading. And if I go back into that same directory, the grokking DL, uh, well, here's the path, tilde code slash grokking dash deep dash learning. You'll see that my environment, my conda environment, automatically changed back to grokking DL. You see some messages here where we're loading the envrc file, and we're exporting these environment variables, the conda prompt modifier, and so on, and the path, uh, and switching into that environment. And so this is something that is very useful if you go into a lot of directories, and normally when you see articles for this, or if you see videos, you're going to find them for using VENV or virtual ENV, but not for Anaconda. And if you do find something for Anaconda, you're not going to find something for miniconda. And miniconda is what I'm running here. I'm also running the ZSH shell, the Z shell. Uh, so the closest thing that I could find was this article here. This one by Manish Dixit, and it's on Medium. Auto switch conda env per directory using conda dir env in Linux. And so let's go through here. And I would assume if you're looking for a way to do this for Anaconda or for conda, you already have that installed. I'm doing this, by the way, on Pop! OS 20.04, which is more or less the same as Ubuntu 20.04. Certainly, any of the steps I'm showing you here are going to be fine for Ubuntu 20.04. This article was written for Ubuntu 18.04, so there are some changes, and I'll be pointing those out. So, as I said, first of all, I'm running miniconda and not Anaconda. I prefer miniconda. If I want the packages from Anaconda, I will just do a conda install Anaconda, and I'll get those in my virtual environment. So the first thing we do is we install direnv, and that's just a sudo apt-get or sudo apt install direnv. So just perform these steps here, and you've got it. And this, of course, gives you the website for more information here. And now it says to update the Bashrc file. Well, I'm using ZSH, not Bash. So that means I have to update my ZSHRC file, .zshrc file. And so let's give some instructions here about setting the prompt, because the prompt did not work with conda out of the box with direnv back in 1804. It seems to work perfectly now, so we're going to skip all the prompt stuff, but we still want to have this conda home and make sure that that's in the path. Now, when you do your conda initialization, when you install conda, it's going to initialize it for you, and it's going to put some lines in your .bashrc file. So if I do a less tilde slash dot bash rc, we're going to see here that at the end, we have this conda initialization stuff here. And so I just copied this when I originally installed miniconda. You see here it says miniconda instead of anaconda. I just copied this and then went into my ZSHRC file and let's go to the bottom here. And I copied it here. Here's my conda init section. And so one of the things I did here was I put in this export conda home equals / home bar miniconda 3 in here. And so that's what they're talking about here, right? They're using this who am I thing, which I don't really need because this is a system that's just for me. Other people are not going to be logging on to this, so that doesn't matter. I can hard code my own home directory into here, and it's not a problem. I'm not going to be using multiple accounts. So here it does the export, but you can do it this way if you'd like. Now, one thing I want to mention is that these quotes here, if you just copy and paste this, these quotes are going to mess you up. I don't know what they are, but you'll have to come in here. If you copy and paste it, you'll have to come in here and replace these with normal double quotes. I've already done that. It took me, I don't know how long to figure out that that was what was causing problems for me. It's a big headache, but you know, if you write these articles for people, make sure you just use a standard mono font for that sort of thing. So anyway, where are we? This is in the my export init section here. So actually, I did all my initializations up here. This is all my export stuff. So I did this, but I don't really need it. I'm probably going to just delete that. And then here's conda home over here. And then go down to the conda init section. That's going to be down here. Oops. Conda init. And let's see. This is the same. This is what we copied in. All this stuff is the same except for this line here. And actually, this is up top in the export section, so I don't think I even need this. But I'm going to leave it in here for now. I'll look into it after this video is made. I don't want to start changing stuff in the middle of the video that might mess things up because it's working right now. And so if we compare this to the Bashrc file, here's the conda initialization. Oops. We'll see this line is the same, this line is the same, this line is the same. Let me just scroll up here a little bit so you can see that. Conda initialization. So the only thing that's different is this says initialize, this says init. Conda setup. It's the same. this is the same, this is the same, else, this is the same, this is the same, else export path, and I added that conda home. That's the only difference. And then here's the unset conda setup. That's the same here. And then we oops. Then we're done. We're done with conda initialization. So that was the only change that had to be made in there. And then we've got the dir env init section. I'm going to close this up here. And go to the dir env init section. And you'll see here that I've commented out all this stuff that they said had to be done, because this all has to do with setting the prompt. And as I said, the prompt change works correctly now, so none of this is necessary. The only thing that has to be done is this eval statement here. And I'm not entirely sure why this has to be done or why this is being done, but it's working, so I'm not going to worry about this too much. But these arguments in here are going to, I guess, set the directory env environment. They're going to hook all of this to this shell, and this is the shell that's being hooked to, right? So maybe this is the command. This is the command, and these are the arguments. Hook to this shell. And so this is going to get dir env working. Which of course is what it says here. This is the initialize section, dir env init section. So that's what this is doing. This is initializing dir env, and all that other stuff not necessary apparently. Once again, be careful of these funky quotes. The single quotes seem to be all right. The double quotes, not so good. And now we're going to create this dir envrc file. And the dir envrc file is in the home directory. Don't put it here in this directory here, the deep learning or whatever you're working on. So let's just do a vim of tilde / dot dir envrc. And so once again, be careful of these horrible quotes. They will mess you up. You can see here, this has got one correct quote and one incorrect quote over here. Of course, that's a comment, so it's no big deal. And let's see. So you need this. If minus n $1, then explicit environment name from the layout command, local env under name equals $1. I guess this is $1 is I guess I mean, normally that's the first argument, I think, or the second argument. Not sure. But here we see we're activating the env name and so on. So in any case, you do have to create this file, and you do have to populate it with all of this, and you do have to go back in and make sure you fix these funky quotes. And then once this is done, Then you can create a project directory like this one here, and this is what needs to be in this .envrc file. So you'll see here that here's the name of the virtual environment, grokking DL. And so if I do a cat of the .envrc file, you'll see that the only thing in here is a layout, anaconda, grokking DL. So it says anaconda. I wonder if miniconda would work in here. I may check that out later. And then anyway, once this is run, then you have to do this direnv allow. And this has a period here, but I don't think you need the period. I did it without the period, and it worked. And you have to be inside the directory you want. And this is a security thing, so that if the .envrc file, which can run commands, is changed or new, it will not run until you say it's okay to run it. And this way, if you what's the word for it? If you clone some repository, for example, and you CD into it, it's not going to start running commands. Now, that being said, you should have a gitignore file that will not put .envrc files into repositories, but people don't always know that, and so sometimes they will end up in them, and you can download them, and they can cause you trouble. So that's something to be aware of. And that's about it. It should start working. Now, one last thing here is I do have a file in my, I guess it's .cache git. Oh, where is this? Not cache, config. /config /git, and there's an ignore file in here. So you can see right at the top here that it has .envrc and .env. It's a good idea to have a file like this in here, so that these are all things that I never want to put into a Git repository. Now, I do have my own .gitignore file. Well, let's see. Let's go back into this. Let's go to code here. So if I CD into Julie, for example, I have a .gitignore file in here for things that I don't want to include in my repository. But it just saves you a lot of time if you have a global ignore file. And once again, that is in your home directory .config/git/ignore. And you probably don't have a git directory. You'll have to make that, do a make dir there, and then you'll have to create the file ignore. Anyway, I hope that you find this helpful and time-saving. Uh, uh, there's a way to automate creating the Direnv file. So let me see. We should probably do that here. So if you remember, up here, we had this echo command. Echo layout anaconda, and this is going to be Julie. And we want this to go into .envrc. And you'll see here that even though we put it in there, it's blocked. We have to do a dir env allow. And you see from now on, when I go in here, if I'm in here, I'm in the base directory. If I cd into Julie, I automatically get my, all right, let's do one more of these. Let's go into transformers. And we'll do the same command again. And it gives us that error message. And we allow it. And from now on, whenever I cd into there, automatically get this. And so this is a big time saver. If you think of how many times you have to activate and deactivate environments, if you spend 2 minutes every day doing that, that is going to be many hours by the end of the year. So anyway, I hope you find this helpful and not too confusing. I know it is a little bit confusing. I apologize for that, but this is the state of working in a modern environment. You've got to read things that other people have written. Maybe they've written them well, maybe they haven't written them well. You've got little problems like funny fonts that will mess you up, etc., etc. You're going to have documents that are written for not quite what you have, and you're going to have to work through that. Anyway, I thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and bye-bye.